Today we will cover Roman Republic 1. We have the Roman Republic lesson split into 2 days. We'll cover the first part today, then tomorrow we'll cover the second part. In today's lesson, we're going to cover how the small city of Rome became a republic. We're also going to discuss the struggle between patricians and plebeians and what distinction makes up each group. Let's begin today's lesson with how a small city of Rome got to a republic. In 509 BCE, or before Common Era, the Romans rebelled against the king of that region. The Etruscan kings were eventually kicked out, or because of crimes that they were accused of. During that time, the law stated that anyone who plotted to be king or plotted against a king would be killed on the spot. As a result of these 3 reasons, the Romans created a form of government called a republic. A republic is a form of government where the citizens have the power. This is the first government that is the beginning of the modern day U.S. government. The Roman Republic begins in 509 BCE, or before Common Era. It lasts to 46 BCE, or before Common Era. In 509, Rome, as we have already discussed, rebels against the cruel kings. They are just considered a small city to the rest of the world, to the rest of that part of the world. Over several years, they begin to expand. They begin conquering and taking over little tiny areas around Italy and around the Mediterranean region. In 338, they go after the first major group. In 338, they defeat the Latins. A few years later, in terms of defeating groups, in 284, they officially defeat the Etruscans. And then in 267, they defeat the Mac Daddy group at the time, the Greeks. The Greeks are the same Greeks that we have discussed in the previous unit. This is the same Greeks. When the Romans defeat the Greeks, this is the official rise to power that the Romans wanted in replacing the Greeks. Let's move on to a few problems that the Roman Republic suffered. Rome became a large city, consisting of 500 miles. The problem with that is that the problem that the Roman Republic had was that only freeborn males could vote. Now, that is kind of unusual at its time because we're used to just about everyone having the right to vote here in the United States. But in Rome, that is normal. That was normal for that time. Rome was shaped by a struggle between 2 groups, the wealthy patricians and the regular plebeians. Now remember who the regular working class are. Plebe, you're pleading for food, you're pleading for work, you're pleading for clothing, you're pleading for a job. Plebeians, okay, that's the regular working class people. Now there's a few distinctions between the 2 groups. The patricians were always wealthy landowners. This is the ruling class. This is the minority of all of Rome. And what does minority mean? It means there were less patricians, even though they were the ruling class. There are less patricians in Rome than there were plebeians. Citizens had to be male. They could vote. They had to pay taxes. They could serve in the army. They could not marry a plebeian. So a patrician could not marry a plebeian. You could serve in the government. Let's move on to plebeians. This is a majority of the population. So that means there's more plebeians than there were patricians. This is the working class, the common people. Citizens were the same as patricians. That means they had to pay taxes, they could serve in the army, and they could vote. Marriage. You could not marry a patrician. Patrician could not marry a plebeian. Plebeian could not marry a patrician. In government, you had no rights. So, patricians ran the government, they could serve in the government. Plebeians had no rights in the government, they could not serve. So today, we have talked about the rise from the little city of Rome to the Roman Republic. They defeated the Latins, they defeated the Etruscans, they defeated the Greeks. We talked about how only freeborn males could vote. We also talked about that Rome was shaped by a struggle between 2 groups, the patricians and the plebeians, and the differences between the 2 groups. Tomorrow we will talk about the more government side of the Roman Republic. But for today, that ends Roman Republic lesson number 1 for today.